everyone, welcome to week 51 of the daily/weekly race guide. In the background you can see we're at Laguna Seca. So let's talk about race A. Let's have a look at the details then. We are racing 3 laps here at Laguna Seca. It's a grid start and we are on sports hard tyres. Now if you haven't spotted, we're going full Tokyo Drifto with the AE86. We've got a couple of variants in there, the Corolla and the Sprinter. Of course, you go for the pop-up headlights. You don't go for anything else. If you go for the Corolla, go away. Pop-up headlights only. Let's jump to the race then. I'll talk you through some tips, tricks. We see a bit of a moron and yeah, it's not really the best if I'm honest. Here we are then at the start. I see most people do pick the pop-up headlight. You can see me at the back. I'm always popping up those damn headlights if I'm honest with you. So mostly Corollas, very few Sprinters. I don't think it really matters which one you pick. I just went with the Sprinter because there you go. You just saw it. Pop-up headlights. Why not? As we get ready for the race. And whack charge control on one. You don't have to. You see it'll work a little bit, but nothing major. So you don't necessarily need it on. Maybe don't worry about it if you're too bothered about switching it up here. But yeah, turn 1 here at Laguna Seca with a grid start. Always a little bit iffy if I'm honest. It really is. Now I wasn't sure where to place my car here. On the outside is never wise. So I noticed this gap open up in the middle. Down the inside. The German backs out of it completely there, which is a smart, I would imagine, to be fair. It means you're definitely not going to get a penalty. You avoid all the contact. As we come through here, a little bit of contact here, there and everywhere. A couple of people. Look at that nice lovely gap there. Opens up for me beautifully as the finish driver gets 2 seconds there. Ooh, slight tap there because he comes across. Had to sort of back out of that. There's a bit of contact there happening. We got this Spaniard on the left then. As we turn into here. Just turns into me. Not sure why. But, you know, we give him room there. We saw that lift just to make sure he had enough room. And we continue on down. So, I talked about a moron. It's this Spaniard. Watch what he does here. I watched a replay of this as well. Basically, he lifts off, then brakes to purposely hit me. Small pull pass back out of it. And then he purposely puts his foot down to try and ram me off the circuit. No idea why he did that. Just a moron. So, you can see who it is there. That's it. I have no idea why, sort of. What's the point sort of thing. But anyway, we continue on with the race as we're going to race a German now. Up towards a corkscrew. And unfortunately for the German's going to forget to, what's the word? Brake is the word here. So we hit the top of the hill. I thought I was going to get a penalty for that, to be fair, because it was a slight tap. But the German forgets to brake there. A little bit worried on exit, but he does come back on nice and safely. So, you know, shout out to you, Alex. You are driving well there. Just a little bit of mistake from you, but hey, we all make mistakes, right? So we continue on now. And we're sort of where we were at the end of turn 1, to be honest with you. As we get this wrong. Oh my word, look how wide we go here. So I have to think about dirt on my tyres. So if you do go off here, just make sure you brake a little bit earlier. Just be a little bit safer because you will have dirt on your tyres. The car will get a little bit oversteery, as you see there. As we continue out the corner, we're going to have a little bit of a race with Small Pup here. Now let's go into the lap guide as well then. So heading up the hill then, starting lap 2 of course, and then down towards turn 1, we're going to use our normal brake mark. By the way, track guide, if you want a really detailed one, that is in the description. But on the right hand side, the number 3 there, where that line is, it's a perfect line. I use that as my mark here. You just see I've just lifted off the throttle. I'm about to go on the brake. I'm on the inside as well, but that right there is a lovely mark. I've had to lift off a little bit because obviously I'm not carrying as much speed. So we race Small Pup round. Now stay in 3rd gear for this corner in my opinion. You can go to 2nd if you're struggling with the speed, but 3rd gear is your best mate, if I'm honest. You just go around here with a little lift. Look at that. I'm not even fully lifting. Round I go, 3rd gear. No braking. I never really have that, to be honest with you. And again, for this corner, no braking. Just at the end of the curve, make sure you start turning in. A little bit of a lift. And then you continue on and then up into 4th gear. So 3rd gear is your best mate here. And I suppose this is half the problem with this race. There's a lot less braking than normally at Laguna. So, yeah. But speaking of braking, the brake marker for this left-hander, the billboard on the right side. Start the billboard there. If you use that, it's a nice, easy brake marker. I was tempted to do 3rd, 4th gear. I wasn't 100% sure where to be in. You saw I was a bit indecisive then on this 2nd lap. 3rd gear is probably better in this instance. You don't really lose anything with that gear change. Up to 4th gear then, and for this left, it's flat. Absolutely flat. You don't need to worry about it at all. You can even hit the sausage, and yeah, you will survive. As the Finnish driver tried to overtake the Israeli there, but unfortunately had to back out of it. So we're going to get that position. Happy days. Another one made here. Now up towards this corkscrew, you're braking just before the crest of the hill where that white line is, and then you're going to drop to 3rd gear. Don't go to 2nd. Stay in 3rd gear. It's downhill, remember. So even if the car bogs down a little bit, it'll pick up speed very, very quickly. So through there we go, and then down the hill we go. You can hear the engine picking up there, and and then we're in our peak RPM. So into here, again, just slight lifts. It's all about lifting, which is why there's not that much racing on here, to be honest with you. And then as we head towards this right, you are braking later than normal. So I've highlighted the scoreboard on the left here, right? Or the position board. Basically, as that goes off the screen, brake and then turn in. Again, I was a bit indecisive with gears. It could be fourth, could be third. I'm in fourth in this instance. It seems to work out fairly okay as we continue on to the left-hander here. Now, I've just highlighted that little grey piece there in the barrier on the left. Now, I use that as my marker here. We're going that slow, you can use that and really nail your marker. So right as it gets to the edge of your screen, I'm braking. I've gone to second gear here, trying to accelerate round. And that is the end of the lap. And that's all that happens in the race. Nobody really gains or loses anything here. The speeds are so slow, very hard to gain any sort of advantage over anybody. And you can see there we gained, what, a tenth over the next lap. It really wasn't much, so... Not my favourite race, this one, but you've got a guide there if it helps you out. Let's head towards race B then, where we head to Croatia. Where we are at Dragontrail Seaside. So the chicane of death is back once again. Now, last time we raced here, the Audi TT was not top. In fact, no FF car was on top. Now, they are still competitive, but the Viper is on top. But before we jump to the Viper, let's have a look at the race details first of all. We are racing 4 laps here at Dragontrail Seaside. It's a rolling start, and we are on racing hard tyres. Now, as I say, the FF cars are not on top. The Viper is dominating the leaderboard at the moment, though, well, at least when I raced anyway. So, pick the Viper. Maybe pick another car. I did notice a comment on GT Planet where someone picked the Mustang and they found themselves more consistent. Pick one of those top-end cars that do have the power, but have the ability to turn a little bit better than the FF cars. You might do quite well here. Let's jump to the race then. I'll talk you through the race. There's an absolute murder in this one, I've got to be honest. Yeah, another track guide as per usual. Here we are then at the start. As I say, Viper, you know, look, on pole. We've got Scirocco in P2, Viper P3, P4, then a load of TTs. A flag that I'm not actually sure what flag that is. Can you let me know in chat, folks? I have no idea. But let's get on with the race. There's like P15 here in the Viper. Don't need to worry about traction control in these cars, really. They should just stick around the corner. Even in the MR cars, they should just stick. I mean, Group 4 aren't that powerful, to be honest with you. Off we go then. Here we are, and we're going to jump straight to a lap guide as we normally do with a rolling start, to be honest with you. That way, you know, you can get all the hidden tips early on, and then we get into that thick of the action as we go forward. There is a little bit of action in this race. Very hard to overtake, though, I've got to be honest. If no one makes a mistake, yeah, it's just hard, really. So we're going to head towards turn 1 here. On the right side, as always, we're going to use to start the curb. Now, you're going to, obviously, depend on the car you're in. If you're in the TT, you probably brake in on or even after the start of the curb. Here in the Viper, I'm braking just before the start of the curb as we head in towards turn 1. You sort of want to clip the inside here and then try and get your tyre hooked on that inside there. I try and do it, but I fail. And then go around the corner, basically. It'll just help you get round and you can accelerate a tiny bit earlier. Reduces understeer. So coming into this right-hander, you might want to lift here. I lift a little bit, just get it slightly wrong. And then into this braking zone, you're braking somewhere in that green area there, where the grass is, you know, in between 2 gravel areas, the green bit. Brake somewhere in there, that's your sort of marker. And what you're looking out for, really use that inside curb, accelerate out the corner, and up the hill we go. That's the end of Sector 1 already. Nice and quick. So heading down towards Sector 2 and the S's, basically. On the left-hand side, I talk about this all the time. That orange barrier there, it's so useful, that barrier. It's literally just a dab of the brakes, chuck it in, drop a gear potentially as well. I was a bit unsure with 5th and 4th here. I tried 5th here, but then I realised it should be 4th as we come through here. Then I'm back up into 5th. And you can see there's trainer cars here. You know, long trainer cars, which makes it very difficult because everyone's got slipstream. No one's really making mistakes, and you're going to have to go for a super dive in order to work. Now, this is a diving opportunity. However, in terms of your brake marker, for if you want to go for the dive or not, it's the start of this curb on the left hand side. That's a really good marker. You could use a billboard on the right, but I use the curb all the time here. Now, it's in my peripheral vision until the braking we go. Small pup trying to go around the outside of Sheldon B, not going to quite work. Pulls us right back in to small pup slipstream here as we head to the chicane of GT Sport here as we clip the left hand side. Now, I can't really see too much here as I go through there. So, you know, I'm just lifting off, trying to nail it accordingly. Small pup gets it slightly wrong there. Unfortunately, we hit the back of small pup, so we lose a bit of time. You see there were hazards on in the distance. I can't do anything about it. It's not his fault either. It is what it is as we head towards the last corner. And this is the brake marker, start of the curb. You could use a 100-meter board if you want to. I always use the curb again, just because I'm looking for it and it's massive. I mean, look at the size of it. It's thick as anything. as we come into the right-hander. And that's literally the track guide done and dusted. Now, as I say, there is a little bit of action in this, as you can tell by the terrain, but it's so hard to make moves. If you're somebody who likes to do last to first challenges, you're not going to do it at this race. You really are not going to be able to do it. Unless you're an A+ driver and you're in an E lobby, then yes, you will do it. But I mean, you know, similar skill drivers, you're not going to do it in a month of Sundays. As we're going to look up ahead, you see a little bit of moves happening. 2 TTs going head to head there. Popup just gets it slightly wrong there, so I'm thinking, oh, excellent, let's try and go for the move here then. Not the best place to go for a move, to be honest. Dan is this right-hander, so I'm sort of just, you know, keeping Popup tight a little bit here. I was hoping to go for a cutback, not quite worked out here, so I go for the dive down the inside. Get it stopped, some good racing here. Unfortunately, that's a better exit, so lose out once again. Let's just fast forward a little bit then. Through the S's we go. You see I'm very close again in towards the braking zone. I try and go for a run at the chicken. So one thing to avoid is Popup here. You can see how he just misses out on the curb here, but that costs him dirty tyres and also a 0.5 second penalty there, as we see an Italian and a TT there. Obviously pled the chicken, but yeah, just avoid cutting that too much. Obviously we're trying to race clean here, that's all it was. Popup just gave me a bit too much space and caused himself to get a penalty there, so a bit unfortunate, but we continue on all the same. As Popup once again going to have a better exit here. I can't close him out there, the car is there. Can't push cars out like the Spaniard did in race A. So let's continue on then through here. Look at that. We're going super nitrous here. So this is where it gets interesting, of course. So everyone's jostling for position now. Everyone's really, really close. And I'm thinking, okay, let's follow the slipstream line here. Let's make sure we just get on the outside of Jabberwocky there. We nail that beautifully. So Popup takes the penalty. We overtake the Italian as well. 2 in 1. Happy days. Buy one, get one free. Into the left we go then. So we'll see if we can get into the top 10 here as we just fast forward a bit further on then. And we continue on with the fighting then. So obviously the chicane, this is one you want to get right because you don't want to do what Chaldenby did there. Just hit the barrier. So we get another place. Shout out to Chaldenby. If you do want to take part in these, I normally start racing at 1:10 in the afternoon British time, so GMT at the moment. You know, it start with race B, then race C, then race A. So if you do want to take part and be in the video, that is the time I'm normally racing these, so, you know, just shout out for that. So, here we go up ahead. This is where it gets a little bit interesting now. So you can see they're too wide at the moment, and the Audi TT of the Greek there looking to try and get past as well. So I can already tell this is getting a bit tasty in the race, if I'm honest. Now, obviously I know what happens, but while I was racing live, that's what I was thinking. So in towards turn 1, you can just see there a little bit of a nudge there. Nothing major though, everyone's trying to race clean as through we go. And then I'm thinking, oh, should I make this 3 wide? And I'm thinking, yeah, we'll back out of this. We will back out of this. And yeah, I'm going to leave you with what happens here. The crowd went wild. Yes, indeed. So obviously the Lexus driver thought the TT absolutely nuked him. I think it was more the curb more than anything. So the Ginger Ninja decided to take revenge there and absolutely slaughtered the Spaniard, who ended up at the back. I'd say an interesting race. You might be able to have a couple of good races here. You'll have a couple of good bad ones as well. SR, very easy to lose here, by the way, so do keep an eye out for that. Let's jump to race C then, where we head to Alsace, where in an insane turn of events we have something very, very different. It's like the knockoff version of Le Mans, basically, because Alsace is in France, but we are in Group C cars. So it's Group 1, but Group C cars. The cars are provided for you, so no fancy liveries. You just have to pick one of the cars. And I would argue this is an interesting race. Nice to have something different. Let's have a look at the race details then. We are racing 10 laps here at Alsace. It's a rolling start, and you are going to need traction control for the start of this, trust me. Racing hard tyres. Fuel is ×2, it's not a fuel race. Tyre wear ×4, not a tyre race. It's a flat out race. It could have done with a bit of strategy, if I'm honest. However, you can have some good racing here. So the car of choice, I believe, is the Sauber, but obviously it's Group C. Just have a laugh. Pick the car you want to race. I mean, the 787B, the rotary, I'm sure a lot of people want to use that. Let's jump to race 10. I'll talk you through some tricks, tips, and yeah, fairly good race, to be honest with you. Here we are then at the start of the grid. Now, you can see the grid there, mostly Saubers, 1 Mazda, but personally I would just use what you like. I mean, I've not tested all the cars, so some of them might be dogs, I don't know, but yeah. Use traction control 1, by the way, because remember, with tyre wear, temperatures do exist, and look at the sky. It's fairly dark, so the track is even cooler than normal, so the tyres will be even colder. So just be careful at the start here. You can see already traction control in use. And even with traction control on, you can still go sideways. I mean, if you look now, watch this. I still go sideways, but traction control helps me out a little bit there. I then turn it off. You just have to be careful. So heading towards turn 1 then, your brake marker is going to be that 50-meter board. I don't normally use that, to be honest with you, but I'm using it this week. So on the first lap, you're going to want to brake just before that, of course. Cold tyres, all that good stuff. Obviously, later on in the race, you might be able to brake a little bit closer to it. So stay in second gear for this one. Make sure you're straight or fairly straight before you put your foot 100% to the floor, because otherwise you are going to spin out. There's a lot of spins in this one. So round the left we go, and then heading towards the braking zone. We're using the famous arrows on the left hand side. First one, that's my brake mark. You see I'm braking a bit earlier. Lap 1, minute 1, cold tyres. That's why I'm braking a little bit earlier there. But use that and drop to second gear here. And you want a later apex. So the problem with a later apex in the race is people will go for the dive down the inside. You do have to be careful of that. So going through here, one thing to note here, that tree there, the big tree. Use that as your accelerating marker, okay? So you're letting off, you're hopefully hitting the apex here where that tree is, and the minute you do that, you can floor it out. You see here, lovely little apex there. Could have carried a bit more speed potentially. In towards the brake in here. I've not dimmed it here because it's a sign. Use the sign. I normally use the curb, but I'm going to say use the sign here. Brake a little bit earlier. And you want to stay in third gear here. Third gear. I dropped a second in this instance, but normally yours should be in third. It'll bog down a little bit, but then you have to change gear. You notice the delay in the gear change? Oh, honestly, it's a beautiful thing to gain a bit of time there, stay in third gear. Now, the arrow on the right side, once again, the first one, using that as a brake marker. Again, a late apex. You want the late apexes here. Alsace is all about late apexes. And third gear is better here, but I just get nudged out here by the Brit there. Quite a push along, maybe a little bit of a mistake. I'm not really sure. So going through here. One thing to look out for as you start to accelerate is the end of that curb. If you're accelerating anywhere before the end of that curb, you're going to go off. Even if you accelerate just after it, you could go off. You have to be very careful on this corner. You notice how I accelerated quite late there? You see small pup nearly runs off the track as well. Very hard corner to nail in these cars. There's not a lot of downforce. Into the braking here. Now, the last of the late braking is going to brake just before the apex of this curb here, but I would be braking beforehand, just trail brake into this. Make sure you start straight lining the last bit of braking and you'll nail it here, unlike the Turkish driver there who has gone off to Narnia as we continue on out of here. So on the right hand side, you notice the bales of hay there. Third gear for this corner as well, so you brake, you're going to turn in third gear because you don't want to change gear going uphill. Remember, there's a gear delay shift, so you notice here I'm in second gear. As I change gear, I lose speed. I'll lose more speed because I'm going uphill, of course. Remember that as we just pass the Italian and then down towards the braking here. And what I'm looking for here is the start of that curb, but I'm braking before that. Generally speaking, I'll be braking where the cones are. Obviously, I'll put the cones on to help you folks. If you are using cones, they're there, you know, you can see where I'm braking in relation to them. So second gear for this one, and then a dab of the brakes, chuck it in to the second part here, and then be careful on exit with that oversteer, or hitting the barrier, which I quite commonly do here apparently. I did that at a World Tour event as well. So in towards the braking zone here, so we're looking to try and get past the German up ahead. Oh, small pup's gone a bit wide here, so we'll take full advantage of that. Happy days. Again, third gear for that corner when you're on your own. It's nice and easy for you. Third gear, your best mate this week, I've got to say, because you need it for race A. Third gear is also good for race C. You know, it's brilliant, isn't it, really? So into the braking we go. This is second gear, obviously. And then I'll say third gear, your best mate. So get into third gear. Don't do second gear. Obviously, it's the second lap, so I was just learning here. Now, we're going to go for a move on the German here. So you've got to be careful. Can get a little bit sketchy with understeer here. Down in towards the braking then. Around the outside, a bit sketchy here. You're going to see that arrow of small pup just come in there. Got it completely wrong under braking, but lets me continue on. I'll just lose a place there. Apologises for it afterwards as well, so it's all golden really. Everyone makes mistakes, I've always said that. As we look to try and get past the German now, round the outside, this is going to be a bit of a tricky one. So in towards this right hander. I tried third gear on this one, but I think second gear is just a tiny bit quicker than third. Obviously third, I mean, you don't have any traction problems, so if you want to do that, you know, you can. But I would prefer second for that corner, if I'm honest. Let's see if we can get the move done on the German then. Down in towards this right-hander. So this is what I mean by people diving up the inside. I just thought I'd demonstrate that. And what you'll find is a lot of people run people off on the exit. I don't do that, obviously, because I know what I'm doing. But some people will just run you straight off the course because they've gone in so tight and they don't realise that you're just going to go off into Narnia. So in towards the right-hander then. Let's have a look what we do here. This is the third gear I'm on about. Notice how you can carry the speed. No traction controls. There's the gear change. Look at the delay. Look at the delay you gain from just staying in third. That is what been trying to say there. So stay in third gear as we have a good race with this German. Fair play to you, mate. It gave me just enough room there, a Sauber space room, but we're going to get that position there up into P11. So you see, you can have some good racing here. You have to find the right drivers as we go on through the week. I'm sure it'll get better for some people because they'll get used to the cars. It's a very tricky car to drive this, especially with the traction issues, you know, not a lot of downforce there. As you just see, the Italian goes a little bit deep here, so we're going to have a good run on the Italian there because they've compromised their exit completely. As we go down the inside here, up into P10 potentially, in towards the braking zone. Don't go too deep, give them room on exit. Accelerate out the corner, point and squirt, happy days, up into that P10, confirm P10 then, as we continue on now. We've just caught up to the Irishman and an Italian. Sounds like a stop joke, to be honest, doesn't it, really? They walk into a bar, what happens? No idea. Anyway, let's see what we can do here with these two folks. So, through we go. Again, third gear, so I'm going to start doing this third gear now. Look at this. Through we go. Look at the advantage we gain. Look at the advantage. And then we try and go for the move here, but the curb bounces us off, so I just have to back out of that, because otherwise I would have actually pit manoeuvred buggy there. So, you know, backed out of it. You can always go for another overtake later on in the race. Halfway through, you notice the tyre wear, non-existent basically, so you don't need to pit at all in this race. As we continue out of there, let's see what we can do versus buggy then. In towards turn one, a bit too far back here. And we're going to go for a wide line here. This gives us a better exit, of course, and that's what we're after, so we can go for a move into turn two. You notice how we are gaining slightly here. Are we gaining enough, though? That is the question. Oh, we are. Slowly but surely, we get closer and closer and closer, down to a tenth of a second. And buggy just gives me enough space there to think, oh, okay, let's try on the outside. And what I was on about earlier, where people just accelerate too much there because they've gone a bit tight. Exactly what happens there. Both the Italian and the Irishman did the exact same thing. Too tight initially, tried to accelerate out the way you would normally. Both went wide with the understeer there. So that's what you really need to be careful of. And here's that third gear, lovely little clip of the apex. Through we go. I have to lift a little bit because I'm on the grass, but we'll continue on. And make sure you clip the inside of that curve. Look how much I run wide there because I didn't use the camber of that corner. The Italian absolutely launched it down the inside here. No idea where they planned to go there, just a mistake I imagine. But yeah, they weren't even on the radar and they just fired it up the inside. This is a problem with late apexes at this circuit, which is why sometimes you can't have good races. But I say this race is not too bad. I mean, for 6 laps here we've had a good race. But this is basically it in terms of the racing. As we're coming to yeah, look at the carnage that appears in the radar there briefly. More death and drama, but we're not involved in that. And we continue on then. Up the hill we go, third gear, as I say. Always use that third gear, it's very helpful. P7 there, decides he likes to kiss the barrier. No idea why or how they went off there. Purple as well in that sector. Definitely sure we can get into the 39s here. 100% not an issue, but we're not going to do it in this race. Obviously, we're just learning and going on the fly. As we advance to lap 10 then, I'll say the first 6 laps of that race, pretty good racing. You know, I had some close action with some fellow drivers. It all spreads out there. You can see that on the track map. It's all over the place. Very tricky combination, this one, really, to race. So the start of the race is going to be hectic, and it's all about staying smooth, calm, consistent, and you should be able to get the good results. But that's going to be it for this week, week 51 here, the Christmas week, of course, in terms of the daily races or weekly races, whatever you want to call them. But that's going to be it for me now, folks. I'm assuming Ollie is streaming tonight, so I'm going to put Ollie's stream there. If it's not Ollie's stream, whoever else streams there, go watch them around 8 o'clock-ish. They should be streaming. There's a video there of the Laguna guide if you want to go watch that, the detailed version. But that's going to be it for me now, folks. If you only watch this video of me, give me a Christmas present. A subscription and a like is a bonus. And for you, I just wish you a Merry Christmas. There'll be more content throughout the Christmas. But that's going to be it for me now, folks. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in another video or live stream very soon.